There is a piece of brass in my hand right now, child. Small, cold, worn smooth on one edge where a thumb pressed it 1,000 times before mine ever did. It doesn't look like much, but I have carried it in my pocket for over 50 years, and tonight I want to tell you why. I was 19 the winter I learned what this piece of brass had to teach me. I'd taken a post as a lighthouse keeper's assistant on a spit of rock so far out that the mainland was just a smudge of gray on a clear day, and most days weren't clear. The keeper was an old man named Halloran, silent as the stone the tower was built on, and he gave me exactly one job: light the lamp, every night, no matter what. I thought that sounded simple enough for a boy who wanted, more than anything, to prove he could be trusted with something. I didn't understand yet what "no matter what" was going to cost me. The first weeks were fine, romantic even, in the foolish way things are romantic before they've asked anything of you. I climbed the spiral stairs each evening, wound the mechanism, trimmed the wick, watched the light throw its long gold arm out over the black water. I felt like I was keeping something alive. I suppose I was. Then November came, and with it, a cold that got into the mortar of the tower and never left. My hands split at the knuckles. The oil thickened in the cold and had to be worked before it would draw properly up the wick. And some nights that meant 40 minutes of numb-fingered coaxing just to get a flame to hold. I caught a fever in the second week of December that left me sweating through my blankets even as frost crept across the inside of the window glass. And still, every night, I climbed those stairs. The tower itself seemed to turn against me that winter. The wind found every gap in the stone and made a low, constant moan through the stairwell, so that I never slept without hearing it, even in my dreams. Salt crusted on the outside of the lamp room glass faster than I could wipe it clear. My boots never fully dried. I remember thinking, somewhere around the middle of December, that I had never in my life been so entirely tired. Not tired the way a boy is tired after a long day of work he chose, but tired in the marrow, the kind of tired that makes even small kindnesses to yourself feel like they belong to someone else's life. I think so many of us have been taught to treat our feelings like a locked gate we must be given the key to before we're allowed to move forward. Wait until you feel motivated. Wait until you feel confident. Wait until the fear passes. But my dear, some gates were never meant to be waited on. They were meant to be walked through, feelings and all. The fear coming along for the climb, whether it wants to or not. Halloran was not a hard man, whatever this story might make him sound like. He simply understood something that took me the better part of that winter to understand myself. That comfort was never promised to us. Only the choosing was. Now here is the second thing, and this one took me longer to understand. Halloran kept a logbook, a plain thing, leather-bound, sitting on a shelf by the lamp room door. Each night, once the light was burning, he made a single mark in it. Not a sentence, not a story, just a small line in pencil, meaning, tonight it was lit. I asked him once why he bothered, since surely he remembered whether he'd done his job. He said the marks weren't for remembering, they were for proving. Not to anyone else, mind you, to himself. Because on the hardest nights, when the wanting was gone and the willingness hadn't shown up. What carried a man through wasn't some grand vision of the future. It was looking at a page of small marks and knowing, plainly, I have done this before when I didn't feel like it. I can do it again. That's the second thing, child. Discipline is not one great heroic leap. It is a page of small marks made on ordinary nights by an ordinary tired person, until the page itself becomes the proof that you are someone who climbs the stairs, not someone who feels like climbing the stairs, someone who climbs them. Those are two entirely different people to become, and only one of them is asked for. I used to imagine, foolishly, that a person became disciplined the way a candle becomes lit, all at once, in a single moment of resolve, and then simply stays that way forever after. It isn't like that at all. It's closer to the way that page of marks filled up, one pencil stroke at a time, night after unremarkable night, until one evening I looked back at it and realized the boy who'd begun that logbook in October, uncertain and eager to prove himself, was not quite the same person holding it in February. Nothing dramatic had changed in me. I had simply climbed the stairs enough times that climbing them had become who I was, rather than something I did. I remember one night in particular, the worst of them. I'd hardly slept in 3 days. My chest ached with the fever. My hands wouldn't close properly around the ladder rungs. And somewhere below me, the sea was throwing itself against the rocks, like it wanted the whole tower down. I sat on the cold iron steps, halfway up, and I did not want to climb another rung. I want you to understand, child, this wasn't laziness. It wasn't weakness either. It was simply that every part of me, body and mind both, had run entirely out of wanting to. I had nothing left that felt like willingness. And I sat there and I thought, quite clearly, nobody would know. The fog was thick that night. No ship would likely pass close enough to need the light. I could climb back down, sleep, and no one would ever be the wiser. That's when old Halloran found me on the stairs. He didn't scold me. He didn't even speak, not at first. He just sat down beside me on that cold step, in his nightshirt, in that freezing stairwell. And after a while he said something I have never forgotten. He said, "The lamp doesn't ask how you feel, boy. It only asks if it's lit." I sat with that a long moment. Then he told me something else, something I didn't understand until years later. He said the sea doesn't care about our excuses either. It only cares whether the light was burning the night it needed to be. A ship doesn't get partial credit for a keeper who meant well but was tired. So I climbed. Not because I suddenly found my willingness again. I didn't. I climbed with none of it. I climbed on nothing but the decision to climb, which, I came to learn, is a different thing entirely from wanting to. And I lit the lamp with hands that were shaking, not from cold anymore, but from something closer to grief. And I sat up there a while, watching that gold arm sweep the water, feeling absolutely nothing like triumph. Just done. It was done. Here is the first thing that winter taught me, and I want you to turn it over slowly, like a stone in your palm. Your feelings and your actions are not married to each other, no matter how convincingly they pretend to be. You have been taught, without anyone ever quite saying it, that you must feel ready before you act, that willingness has to arrive first, like a guest you're waiting on before you'll open the door. But my dear, willingness is an unreliable guest. Some nights it doesn't come at all, and the lamp still has to be lit. This is not the same as being hard on yourself, or pretending the cold doesn't hurt, or the fever doesn't ache. Halloran never once told me my exhaustion wasn't real. He only told me it wasn't the deciding vote. There is a great tenderness, actually, in learning to say, I feel terrible, and I am going to climb the stairs anyway. Those two sentences can sit together in the same heart. They are not enemies. I kept that post through the whole of that winter. Some nights the lamp was lit easily, almost joyfully. Most nights it wasn't. Most nights it was lit by a boy who had run clean out of feeling and climbed anyway, on nothing but the decision and the small marks in a logbook that told him he was capable of exactly this. Wherever you are tonight, my dear, whatever it is you know you ought to be doing and haven't found the wanting for, I need you to hear this gently but clearly. You are not waiting on a feeling that owes you its arrival. You are only waiting on a decision, and decisions, unlike feelings, are always available to you, even at your most tired, even at your most afraid. The lamp doesn't ask how you feel. It only asks if it's lit. Start your own logbook if you need to, even just in your mind. Tonight, I did the hard thing, though I did not want to. Tomorrow, another small mark. You will not feel triumphant most days. That's all right. Triumph was never the job. The job was only the lamp, and the mark, and then the next night's lamp again. I still have that piece of brass, worn smooth from Halloran's thumb and then from mine. It came off the old mechanism the year they finally replaced it with something electric and unfeeling. I kept it because some nights, even now, an old man in his own chair, I still need reminding. Some evenings I don't want to do the small right thing in front of me, and I take this out of my pocket, and I remembered a boy on a freezing stairwell, and I climb anyway. If this was you found tonight, the way that stairwell found me all those winters ago, stay a while longer with me, would you? There's more I'd like to pass along when you're ready to hear it, and I'd be glad of the company. Until then, go easy on yourself and light your lamp anyway.